Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is As We Were Told, Crash, and a New Financial System. Okay, so I already read this several times, but it fits scarily, so I'm going to read it again. This is back in 24. Angel brought up the dollar again to me last night and said, I told you the purchasing power of the dollar would be around 50 cents. It's happening right now. Now, this is back in May. Inflation is getting worse and worse. The purchasing power of the dollar is crumbling. As we speak day by day, he said there will be a major event, one single event, that causes a significant stock market crash. It's coming. There will be an event that happens. Well, now we probably know what that event is. It's called tariffs. Now, if you've not already called 800-200 gold, then I strongly recommend you do, because here's the thing. I called him today and I said, what do you think's going on? He said, I think it's crashing. I think the whole financial system is crashing. That sounds bad, and I didn't put it on here, but Leslie had a dream, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, that a lot of people lost their fortunes almost overnight. And this caused a lot of people to get saved. Essentially, that's what it's saying. And one thing I said, if we have gold or silver, we're happy to see the day that's happening, the stock market crash. If we have stocks, then we're not happy. But for those of us that do have some gold and silver, those of you who've been listening to us for a while, know that this could be actually good. As I just confirmed with him, he says it probably means that the price of gold and silver are going to be going up. I said, probably. Let's go on. 800-200 gold. Now, this was Sunday night, so I don't need to read it again now because you already know what's happened. So essentially what he said at 3:15 Sunday afternoon, he said that all of the rumors he's hearing is that the stock market is going to start falling. And now there's a couple of things that are important. China is reportedly dumping United States Treasury notes. I've not got this confirmed, but it's probably accurate, at a discounted rate of 25 cents on the dollar. So China is dumping our debt. What does that mean? That means the value of the dollar is going to start going down. You mean China can control the value of the dollar? Well, sadly, and they're not the only ones. The next point says that Japan also allegedly started notifying the United States that they too are dumping U.S. dollars at least 1.1 trillion in U.S. Treasuries. So that makes it a total of about $3 trillion of our debt that they're dumping. What does that do? It means that the dollar is going to fall. What was Coverstone? What was Shane Warren? What were many of them told? It goes down a third, worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. And what would start that would be when they started selling oil and another currency. That just happened again, I'll show you, today. Okay, or yesterday. Of the 185 countries affected, the ones that are now coming back to President's door, banging on his door to make a deal for the trade, the 50 that have done that are the small guys. They're not the big ones. And instead, China is getting angry. We'll cover that too. He goes on to say large hedge funds have been working all weekend deciding what stocks to dump because they're weak performing. Rumor has it that all these funds will dump all of those holdings by 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I remember I saw a movie about how a big firm that had a bunch of these bonds discovered that it was time to liquidate. And they wanted to liquidate all of their bonds. I mean, like by 10 o'clock that morning, they wanted to liquidate billions of dollars of bonds. That's kind of what's happening here. In other words, we are now in a panic mode. Well, let me rephrase that. They are in a panic mode. There's more. Stick with me. Now let's jump to what China does. Okay, so China sees us raising the rent. We're raising the tariffs. China then jumps out, levies economic war against the U.S., brings global payment system online bypassing SWIFT. Look at this. Settling oil sales without dollars. That's what Shane Warne was told way back in 2010, the thing that would tank the dollars when they started selling oil in another currency. That happened officially June 9th of 2024. But apparently it didn't affect it then. But now, apparently it's here. So it goes on saying China, over 2,000 mainland listed companies have hit limit down. What does that mean? That means that at that point, they stopped selling. I'm not an expert on this, but I think that's what it means. China launches global digital payment network. What did I talk about? 2 weeks ago? I made a whole program saying that they're coming out with a new financial system. And now, boom, here it is. This People's Bank of China is connected with its digital. We've had several prophecies saying the dollar is going digital. The coins and the paper currency are going away, just like is happening today. So for the people that don't follow us, that don't believe that the people we're listening to are hearing from God, how do I say this kindly? Now, Stan, be nice. Nana boo boo. I tried to tell you, but they didn't want to listen. Hopefully, they'll start listening now. So anyway, People's Bank of China has connected its digital RMB to 10 Asian and 6 Middle Eastern nations, covering 38% of the global trade, and this bypasses the SWIFT, the U.S. dollar entirely. Means the value of the dollar is going down. I'm not glad to see that. I'm glad to see that we were right on the prophecies, but I want to see the very best for our nation. Payments now clear in 7 seconds, not 3.5 days. Fees slashed by 98%. There's more. Also, Thailand settled oil in the digital RMB. So now that fulfills what Shane Warne was told again. While the U.S. debates if digital currency is a threat, China has already built a global network around 200 countries. Boom. We've been saying, the prophecies are saying this is coming. It's a digital Silk Road. It's de-dollarization in action, and it's happening now. 6.4 trillion wiped from global economy in just the last 12 hours. Hong Kong led the losses with a 13.2% drop, its worst day since 1997. Taiwan stocks plummet 9.7, setting a new record, with Singapore's shares 7.7. They're all down, okay? Now, this is what Hal Turner says. He says, you know what this just did? He says, Trump just did this. You know why? They tried to kill him, but Trump won. He destroyed globalism. It no longer exists. It's done. It's finished. It's dead. He took it out and shot it execution style with a sawed-off shotgun, and he's simply coming out casually with his blood splattered all over him to tell us about it. World Economic Forum, gone. Davos, gone. Klaus Schwab, gone. Sustainable Development Goals, gone. Climate change, gone. DEI, gone. Tax havens, gone. The world as we knew it, including the constitutions, what the prophecies say, gone. Why? Because it had opposed Donald Trump. Well, it did, but I think it's part of the devil's plan to bring in a global digital network so that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. I think it's going to be good for 6 months to a year. Remember, Pastor Massey was told, get your money out of it within 6 months. So I don't know when the clock starts. Maybe it starts today. Let's go on. Themselves are dead. Denial, bargaining, anger, depression. We should celebrate, he says. Now, this is further confirmation. So yesterday, China issued retaliatory tariffs of 30% on top of their already record-setting tariffs. Non-monetary, this is important, non-monetary tariffs, illegal subsidization of companies, and massive long-term currency manipulation, despite my warning that any country that retaliates against U.S. by issuing additional tariffs above and beyond their already existing long-term tariff abuse of our nation will be immediately met, here it is, with new and substantially higher tariffs, over and above those initially set. Therefore, if China does not withdraw its 34% increase above their already long-term trading abuses by tomorrow, April 8th, 2025, the United States will impose additional tariffs on China of 50%. Now, I tried to find it, but I could not find it. I searched and I searched. But I know that Brandon Biggs said that he was shown a vision that China simply stopped shipping anything to America. Now, we talked about that. I just couldn't find it. Then, if you also remember, Dana Coverstone was shown that the Baltic Dry Index was dead, that there was no shipping moving around the globe. That sounds like a tariff war, a trade war, doesn't it? Could this be the starting of that trade war? Appears so, doesn't it? Let's go on. There's more. Federal Reserve calls emergency meeting today. Public not allowed in. Now, I've told you that what they want to do is bring in a whole new quantum financial system. A whole new system. Dollars going away. Coins going away. Paper's going away. All of it's going away. Including the Federal Reserve, the IRS, all of that is going away. And the computer. Excuse me, the computer. The Constitution. All going away. Well, boom. Did you ever think you'd see that the Federal Reserve calls emergency meeting? Now, what it's about to say is that apparently they're calling the emergency meeting over possibly lowering interest rates. Maybe, but maybe they're calling a meeting about whether the Federal Reserve is going to even be able to continue. Look, he's just laying off the IRS agents. Remember, Biden came along and hired 87,000 of them. Now Trump's not only fired all of those, but he's fired now, another 10,000? I think they're talking about 30,000 more. And then, of course, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. What about just no tax? Also, you see, what was the state that's talking about removing their sales tax? I think was that Florida? I think so. Anyway, point I'm trying to make is we've been told this. But see, the problem is, since people don't know how to recognize the word of the Lord, and they don't know if they want to believe it. Frankly, sometimes I don't know if I want to believe it either. But apparently God was talking to us. And apparently, now there's about to be a bunch of people that wish they'd been listening. So here we are. It looks to me like the Federal Reserve, I think it's not just lowering. Yes, they may be lowering the interest rates. I think they are sweating. I think the Federal Reserve, this is the Illuminati. These are the families that control the world and have probably been controlling it since the days of the pyramids and the pharaohs. These are the people that are scared out of their mind right now. They think they are losing it all. Now, the devil knows that eventually he's going to move it all into the mark of the beast system. But my point is, this is the start of the mark of the beast system. Here it is. Dollar gone, digital system coming in. So here it is. And I've read this many times. I don't think I have to read it again. But essentially what he saw was a financial storm. When the financial storm started, the next thing was paragraph 2, an earthquake hit. Why? Because we split Israel. And if Israel gives the Palestinians a state before June 1st of this year, then probably we will see Omar ushers in Palestinian state, that very headline. And God told me in the night, June 27th of 2008, when those prophecies I gave your wife began to come to pass, people from all directions began to turn and listen to your ministry. Boom. And the thing that would cause the dollar to start falling, there it is, it's underlined, third paragraph down, buying oil and another currency. That just happened. A new currency system, digital, just purchased oil in a digital currency today for the first time that I know of in human history. Now, he goes on to tell you that silver is going to skyrocket far more than gold. 800, 200 gold, 800, 200 gold. Call them and look, it might not be too late. If you got any money, you don't want to lose it, gold or silver. Of course, again, the Lord told Shane Warren that silver is going to skyrocket far more than gold. Okay, let's go on. Now, I'm going to skip this. This talks about how miracles return to the church. Today, we're talking about the digital dollar. Now, let's go back to Brandon. He said, the Lord showed me the American flag, and it transformed into a $100 bill waving in the wind. Suddenly, listen, it transformed into a digital code, almost like a crypto code. What more does it take? What more does it take? It's moving like it was alive. It was like internet math code. It kept moving and moving. I said, Lord, what is this? The Lord said, the dollar is about to turn into a digital dollar. Boom. It'll be half what it's worth right now. So the $100 bill will be worth $50. Then they showed me the banks all went bankrupt. Is that the reason the Federal Reserve is having a meeting today? Because they're scared out of their mind they're about to lose it? All the money was in the banks. Whether you were rich or poor, the banks seized it all. Well, if it's going to be worthless, why not lose it? So you better be going to the new digital system. All the money of the banks was seized. And it was now the property of the bank, and I don't know how, but somehow they seized all the money of the banks. People lost it all. Loans on your house, your cars, everything. I saw that they took all of it. They called it a debt jubilee because they couldn't foreclose and take everybody's houses and cars because the dollar crashed. So they simply wiped it out, just took all the money in the bank. Oh, they can't do that. Well, you know how you've been getting these, we made an adjustment, click here to continue. And if you don't click here and agree to it, then they close your accounts. There have been more than one report saying if you go back and look at those small print, it says the bank can do this. It's called a bail-in. In other words, you now are not just a depositor, you are a debtor of the bank, and they can take your money to pay their debts. The Lord showed me the lines of people standing at Target stores trying to get food. They weren't dressed like they were poverty-looking clothes. They still had nice clothes on, but it was like the money had left suddenly, and that's the reason I recommend you go to josephskitchen.com. josephskitchen.com. Don't pay $10,000 to feed one person for a year. Joseph's Kitchen, you can do it with wheat for about $1,000 a head. josephskitchen.com. They still had nice clothes on. It was just like it happened overnight. You know, they all say, suddenly, overnight, stand up and walk out. People were in lines at Target and Walmart, but there were no products, no food. Do you know where our food comes from? Most of it is sadly not grown in America. It comes in from a ship. Now we're in a trade war. Brandon says all the ships, and Dana Coverstone says all the ships stand still. Where would we get food? josephskitchen.com. You better call. We've been right. I need to get me a hat that says Prophecy Club was right after all. There was hardly anything left in the stores. People were standing or waiting just to get whatever they could. I could see them all in a single file line that stretched forever. He showed me certain cryptocurrencies, digital, that would go up in value. He'd also showed me certain things that would happen with gold and with silver. Now, he didn't say silver is going to skyrocket, but Shane Warren did. He showed me the euro. It's going to get in trouble because of what's going on in Europe. Well, is that here today? Sounds like it. Now let's jump to Brandon Biggs. This is back in 2020. I saw the bullet go through the right ear of Donald Trump, who he's talking about, and I saw him say this. This is, by the way, about 3 months before Trump was shot. Then I saw the judges coming after him, just like it's happening right now. I saw that in the fall would come to an end. It would end in the fall. I saw an economic crisis coming at the beginning of the next year, meaning 25, like right now. So that's boom, boom, boom. All three of those predictions have happened. It was in the winter months whenever this crash happened. So it'll happen this year or it'll happen next year meaning 25. But it'll be 2 years down the road or 3 years, but I believe something is going to happen quickly. There's a planned economic collapse. I saw a dam full of like sludge, all kinds of filth. Remember the prophet out of Australia, Neville Johnson? He said he saw a very ornate, delicate cup, and the angel speaking to him says it's like the world's economy. On the outside, it's very clean, but on the inside is full of filth. That's the same thing he's saying too. In other words, our financial system is full of filth. Well, Doge has found a lot of filth, right? I saw barrels and they had writing on the side of them. They all had to do with the finances. And I saw bank collapse, bank structure meltdown, economic crisis, dollar crash. It was all kinds of 50-gallon barrels. They were being held back by a dam like a Hoover Dam. But it was holding back nasty, swampy, muddy-looking thick water. It was gross. In other words, cheating, lying, stealing. That's how they got the money. I saw 50-gallon drums bopping up and down in the sludge, and the Lord said, they're holding back all that the election, until the election is over, boom. Holding back until the election is over, and then it'll be released. I saw the dam break and flooded upon the American soil, and all those 50-gallon drums rolled down. It was like a toxic waste. When this happened, I saw food lines. I saw people lined up down the street. It happened quickly. Here it is. We're no longer thinking that this could come soon. It's here. I saw the stock market ticker. The ticker was going down, and the stock market was crashing. One of these days, people are going to realize Prophecy Club, been recognizing the word of the Lord, been bringing it to you. Unfortunately, now it's going to bite them. It's too late. Crashing, and the people were freaking out. That's today. It was large. It was terrible. Everything happened fast. The dollar collapses, and so the dam of filth was released. Then I saw President Trump praying in the Oval Office. Now, he misunderstands this. He thinks that the prophecy of these 4 trees is saying that there's going to be difficulty for 4 years. And I've already covered this. I'm not going to take the time to cover it before, but I believe he misunderstands the prophecy, and I explained why, because of the leaves. But it's not 4 years. There's going to be 4 months of financial difficulty. Then America will start pulling out of it. That's essentially what, you can pause and read it if you want to, but I believe it's saying 4 months, not 4 years. That's essentially, now let's go on to the next one. You can pause and read it if you want to, but that's essentially what it's saying. Okay, now let's go to this. I'm about out of time here. You be ready. Byron Searle had this 3:3 of 25. This is my summarized version of it. So in this vision, he said, I heard the Lord say, the show has begun. I think he was right on. I think that the great end time battle between light and darkness has started. That's what we're seeing here. This is the battle between Lucifer and the Father, Antichrist and Jesus, and the left and the right, the Democrats, the Republicans, the light and the darkness. So he says, then I heard a carnival barker saying, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, come one, come all, see the greatest show on earth. This is the great 7-year battle. I'm not saying that the 7-year tribulation started yet. I'm not saying it hasn't. But it's the great battle. Then one just touched me. That just confirmed what I just said is true. Come all, see the greatest show on earth. There wasn't an empty seat in the house. All the seats were filled, meaning that there's not a pre-trib rapture. No one gets pulled out. Everybody gets the seat. Everybody gets to see this. There were 3 rings. The large ring in the center had clowns amusing the crowd. We're seeing that right now with all kinds of amusements, with football, baseball, basketball, even the news is entertaining. That's keeping us off of the real problem, finding Jesus. Second, the small ring had a bear. There was Three rings. Okay, the first one is the large ring is going to tell you is going to be the angel. Then the ring in the center, the large ring in the center is the clowns amusing the crowd. The ring on the one side is the bear riding bike and the large leopard or Muslims and a parrot. Now, who's the parrot? The parrot, if you'll watch, are those people that just listen to CNN or MSN, some of those, and they just repeat, well, he's a racist. Well, he's black. Or they don't know why they're saying those. They've just been paid to say it. So they're just parrots. They're just repeating what they've been told to repeat. The third large ring was the ringmaster Jesus, or the angel of Jesus, with the U.S. Constitution. The ringmaster got upset reading the Constitution, ripping pages out of it, and setting the pages of the Constitution on fire. The clowns hosed it down with gasoline, meaning the prophecy is saying that the Constitution is going bye-bye. And the clowns hosed it down with gasoline. The bear knocked the book out of the ringmaster's hand. The parrot was people who just repeated what they'd heard. All the people in the audience cheered, thinking it was part of the show. There were three, in other words, they see the Constitution leaving and they're cheering, but they don't understand what is actually going on. Then there were three computer monitors mesmerizing the people. The first one was war without bombs. Second one is war with bombs. The third one was people running for their lives. So that's three things that we're about to see. Now we're in the war without bombs. Soon we'll be in the war with bombs, maybe even the next few weeks. If Trump bombs Iran, Russia's already said what happens is going to be a catastrophe. In other words, you hit Iran and somebody is going to hit you, and it's probably going to be nuclear. That means I don't think it's going to happen yet, but I don't have time to explain that today. Then Ringmaster destroyed them all, and the total tent went dark. That means the sun goes out about 72 hours before Armageddon. Then a blinding light filled the tent with light from above. That's the morning star, as all of the terrors are destroyed and a new heaven and new earth is created. Now, all of that, I think, is now in progress. It's now started. You could say starting. So what do I suggest? I suggest 1-800-200-GOLD. Don't lose your wealth. Don't lose it. Right now, it's not time to try to get ahead, and I'm not giving you financial opinions. This is prophecy, okay? My opinion, 800-200-GOLD. Call them. Second thing is go to josephskitchen.com. Get yourself some food. josephskitchen.com. Get yourself some. This is what God told me is God's famine plan is wheat. It's not some of these other things where you add boiling water and it's macaroni and cheese, okay? It's wheat. josephskitchen.com for God's famine food.